Good evening, everyone. Excuse me. We're going to be calling to order now the April 9th, 2024 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll call the roll. Mr. Dubois?
Here.
Mr. King?
Here.
Mr. Montano?
Here.
Mr. Soto?
Here.
Mr. Wolf?
Here.
And Chairman Ferrante.
Here. Also in attendance here tonight is David Sulkus, our city planner, and Meg Green, our recording secretary. Excused this evening are alternate commissioners Carmina Hirsch and Jeff Einig. As a note, Mr. Einig has just been appointed to our vacant position as an alternate commissioner, so he's not here tonight, but we would like to welcome him. All right. Before we get started, I would just like to say a couple of words. It has come to my attention that some of the information recently presented to this board was inaccurate. While this information did not impact the determination of hardship, I feel it is incumbent on me as chair to remind all applicants and presenters that all information presented should be factual and accurate. If an applicant does not correctly know the answer to a question asked by this board, that uncertainty should be stated rather than continuing with assumptions or inaccuracies. As a note, 624 to 626 Gulf Street tonight, the last item on our agenda, is postponed to next month. And with that, we will begin with the first item. Mr. Montano.
59 Hillside Avenue, MBP 49/724/2, R5, Nick Aquilina owner, varying sections 4.1.7.3 for fence abutting Long Island Sound, surveyed by Codis Bodie and Associates, January 25th, 2022.
Thank you. And before you begin, please state your name and address for the record, and then you may continue.
Nick Aquilina, Denise Aquilina, 59 Hillside Avenue.
Okay.
Good evening. My wife and I are here to advocate for fairness, safety, and property rights in the matter of 59 Hillside Avenue fence reconstruction application. The denial of our request for a replacement fence on our property based on city ordinance regarding waterfront properties overlooks crucial safety concerns and disregards the fundamental rights of property owners. The removal of the previous fence was not by choice, but a necessity due to the safety hazards leaving my property vulnerable to trespassing and property encroachment. Furthermore, the inconsistency in decision-making evidenced by approvals granted to neighboring properties for similar fence constructions undermines trust in the regulatory process and raises questions of fairness. A new sturdy fence is not just a physical barrier, but a safeguard against trespassing, property damage, and personal injury. It is an assertion of property rights and a measure to ensure safety and security of the residents. In conclusion, I urge the board to reconsider the denial and uphold the principles of fairness, safety, and property rights. Thank you. Did you want a copy of the A2 survey?
Does anyone need to see a larger A2? Is this any different than the one you submitted?
No.
Okay, please bring it forward. So this, the fence that you're proposing, does it run all the way along the side of the house, or does it start at the back and run along that paver patio?
Along the side of the house.
All the way from the street?
No, probably 22 feet from the street because there's a barrier there already,
Okay,
a retaining wall.
okay. And it runs down to the concrete wall right on the water?
Right.
Okay. And over that wall, all the way around?
No,
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 just down to it?
just down.
Okay. And the fence that was taken down, how far down the side of the house did that run? Because I saw a photo that didn't show it going all the way to that concrete wall.
Well, because at the end there was a broken piece, and you see one of the photos there? You can see the rusted end where it was broken off, probably 6 feet from the concrete wall.
I'm not sure where it is. These are dogs. What's that?
On the opposite side of the property adjacent to mine, there was a concrete barrier that was demolished. I was also denied to reconstruct that. That was there for many, many, many years.
Any other questions?
So you took the existing fence down
Yes,
and
I did.
replaced it with a new wrought iron fence?
I haven't,
Oh, you haven't, you just took it down?
took it down.
Okay. How come you didn't replace it? You went down to City Hall first?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Nick, the proposed new fence, identical placement?
It's a powder-coated aluminum fence that doesn't rust. I thought it'd be better than a metal.
Yeah, better than a chain link. The position of it in relation to the border of the house is
It would
generally
be perpendicular, not,
right, down the side of the house. And
right,
same,
not parallel with the wave.
In the exact same spot as the old one?
No, because it's was determined that it's not my property.
so you're
So I
stepping it in?
Move it in.
Right, right, that's what it stated. Thank you.
So it's actually closer to your house now?
It
Will
would
be? Would be?
Yes.
Excuse me, and the height of the fence?
The height, 4 feet or less. It's both.
And also, sir, with the fence, people from the park, like as of right now, there's no restriction from them, like say walking the park and walking under your house too, right? Is that the case right now?
Right now, they walk under my house or through my backyard.
Okay.
There is a photo of a gentleman walking down the back wall in my backyard. Do you see that?
Okay.
Plus, dogs are also in the park, even though there is a sign that says no animals. There are lots of dogs, some of them are unleashed.
Do they come onto the property?
I mean, sometimes they come to the edge of it, but I'm not there all day, but I do have photos of dogs in the park
Sure.
that's showing that they are in the park.
In the park.
They are in the park.
Right. Which is not,
Right, but I don't know what happens when I'm not there. They could be on my property, I'm not sure.
She's not worried about the encroachment. We're not worried about the encroachment. I guess she saw a sign that says, no dogs allowed in the park. And we're a little worried because we have little dogs and we're worried about them tangling up, that's all.
any other questions? All right, is there anyone else speaking in favor of this application?
We did have a neighbor that sent in a letter, which was the neighbor to the right of us, which was Gabriella.
I believe that's been posted on the website.
Okay.
Okay, so we have that in the record, so there's a,
I do have the neighbor that's on the other side here.
sure. Sir, if you'd like to speak, please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Darrell Arnett, and I'm at 67 Hillside Avenue, Milford. What I'd like to say here is for Nick and Denise, they've been working at this house now for about 3 years and at the final stages of finishing it off. And really what Nick is trying to do is nothing more than what was there before for probably 20 or 30 years, just replacing it. He had an issue where he went over the line a bit, so be it. But he really is just trying to replicate what was there before. And if you look down this street, 99% of the homes do have a low wall, 18 inches, 20 inches, that runs from the back of the house perpendicular to the seawall. Since I live next door and Harvey or Mel's house is torn down, we have a wonderful view out that side, but I can see into Nick's and Denise's backyard. And there will be some kids that run off, that will run off from the park into his back area there. And it's something what, an attractive nuisance is setting itself up here for us. So I would like for some kind of arrangement or agreement to come to pass just to keep this facility at home looking as good as all the other ones that put into the pride of the neighborhood. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Is there anyone else speaking in favor of this application? Is there anyone opposed to this application? Does the board have any more questions for the applicants? No? Okay, this hearing is closed. Thank you very much.
I move to approve as presented the petition of Nick Aquilina, owner, vary section 4.1.7.3 for fence abutting Long Island Sound, surveyed by Codispati and Associates, 12522.
Seconded.
Discussion?
Well, I personally know from doing jobs down there that every house down there has fences, almost every house. And I mean, I even did a job where the customer, as soon as I was done building the house, they put a fence up and I told them it wasn't allowed, but they did it anyway. And I mean, it's just kind of like a safety concern. I don't think it's a bad idea to have it.
I'm with you on the safety concern. I mean, the point here, though, is that if those houses are putting up fences without, you said you're not allowed to do that, they did it anyway. So the fact that they exist is neither really here nor there unless they've been approved. So, we have an opportunity.
Well, in that case, there was existing fences there that came down and they just replaced them.
Good point. Mr. King?
I looked at that area there. His house is raised. It's clear that anybody that's playing in that playground could definitely run underneath his house. I think it's a legitimate concern for him, and I think he should be allowed to put the fence up.
I certainly respect the fact that the property is right next to the public park. I think it's open and inviting for people, and then that becomes a liability issue for homeowners.
And I think one of the issues they don't want it is because of storm damage. Could take the fence and rip it out. But a lot of those, other than the vinyl ones, those page fence or the wrought iron, they survived the hurricanes. Because I've seen several. I've seen Irene and what was the other one? Superstorm Sandy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
the
mean,
fences survived.
even with pass-through, they can still be a safety concern should the weather come in, but it certainly is a better alternative to, a full fence or stockade fence. Any other thoughts?
We're going with concrete pillars and cedar, so aesthetically pleasing as well as a safety improvement.
Oh, I thought he was doing wrought iron.
I've got cedar with concrete. Nice. I'm okay with it.
All right. Looks like we're ready for a vote. Mr. King?
With the motion?
Mr. Wolf?
With the motion.
Mr. Soto?
With the motion.
Mr. Montano?
With the motion.
I'm with the motion. The motion passes. Mr. Montano, item number 2.
"33 West Orland Street, MVP 38/561/28, R-5, Thomas Lynch, attorney for David Culhane, owner. Varying section 3.1.4.1, side yard east, from 4 feet required to 1.43. Provided rear yard from 5 foot regular to 0.4. Provided lot coverage from 65% max to 70.8. Proposed building coverage from 45% max to 48.2. Proposed to construct new detached garage. Survey by CCG Civil Group, LLC, 3/14/24.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. Just for the record, my name is Thomas Lynch. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Lynch, Trembicki, and Boynton, and my office is located here in Milford at 63 Cherry Street. And I'm here tonight with my client, David Culhane. David is the owner of the property at 33 West Orland Street. He and his family have owned 33 and 37 West Orland for many, many years, located in the Bayview section here in Milford. And we're before you tonight with an application to vary slightly the side and rear yard setback requirements in the R5 zone for an accessory structure, along with, again, a slight variation of the building and lot coverage regulations to construct a new detached garage on the property. So just by way of a little bit of background, 33 West Orland, it's a one-story bungalow-style single-family residence. It consists of 2 bedrooms and approximately 1,076 square feet. The house was built in 1925. It's located on a narrow, non-conforming 30-foot by 118-foot lot in the Bayview section, as I mentioned, in Zone R5. The lot itself is very narrow, and I want to stress that right from the start as being one of the grounds for our hardship. The lot consists of some 3,540 square feet in the R5 zone. There was an addition to the house that was built back in 2003. There was a zoning permit that was granted by Linda Stock, our zoning enforcement officer at the time. There was no necessity for a variance, but I want to stress at the start that that addition to the house already created the nonconformity that is there now with the building and lot coverage. It's very, very close. And the existing 2-car garage, some 18 by 18 feet that's there now that David wants to take down, we're merely requesting a variance of the existing nonconformities along the rear yard and on one of the side yards to build a slightly larger garage. This new garage is 22 feet by 18. We had come before you back in March of 2021 with an application for a larger garage, a 26-foot wide structure with a patio underneath, and after discussion back and forth, I don't remember I think it was a split vote, but that application was denied, I believe, without prejudice. My client had some family issues that arose after that, so this sort of got backburnered until now, but now he wants to proceed with the building of the new garage. I will also note that the building plans that were submitted with the 2021 application showed the height of the existing garage that's on site as 18 feet to the midpoint. This new garage will be conforming. It will be no higher than 15 feet. And the existing house really has no storage. So the garage is going to accommodate 2 cars, and then there's going to be a half loft area in the back just for storage. There will be no finished living space. There'll be no plumbing. There'll be no home office put up there. It's just going to have a loft area for storage. So with the fact that this is a minimal increase in size, we're reducing a nonconformity, which is the number one item, I wanted to stress the existing height of the garage, and also, we're not increasing the nonconformity. The existing garage has the same setback along the rear and on the easterly side of the property. The westerly side of the property is zoning compliant with the setback as provided. So I think, again, a clear hardship exists, reducing nonconformities, not increasing a nonconformity, and the size of the lot being very narrow. I think that it warrants the granting of this application, and I'd ask that you do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Lynch. So for a point of clarification, the new garage is going to go where the old garage is, but slightly wider to the one side.
4 feet wider going out to the west, which
Right.
still
Is
creates
zoning
a zoning compliant setback. Yep.
Yes. All right. And it's just this one small increase, and because of the small lot, it's triggering these 4 variance requests.
Yeah,
But it's
and-
just the 4 foot.
And like Ron Wasmer did the calculations, I think with that addition that was put on in 2003, I think we're slightly over the building and lot coverage as it is now. So we're not increasing that really.
Okay. And reducing the nonconformity with the height, or eliminating the nonconformity.
Yes, right now there's a non-conforming height.
Okay, great. Any other questions for Attorney Lynch? Gary?
Am I correct in stating that the home currently has no basement in reference to the storage?
Gary, there's a small, great question, and I asked David that before our presentation. When the addition went on in 2003, the way it graded, there's a small area of a crawl space, but really nothing to speak of in terms of providing storage for the house.
Thank you.
Okay.
Attorney Lynch, so you cut down the size by 4 feet from the last time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you lowered the height, so I'm happy with this.
And I believe the last time I was here, there were a couple of neighbors who weren't happy, and Sarah's going to call for anybody speaking in favor. I have letters from 4 neighbors in close proximity, 2 on the adjacent side on the east and the west, to submit to you, all in favor of the application.
Great. You can bring those forward.
Yeah, let me just state it for the record. It's a letter from Susan Ubanalti, who lives at 40 West Orland Street, Pamela Sabaka, who's at 31 West Orland, Lee Bain at 39 West Orland, and lastly, Maureen Morris, who's adjacent at 37 West Orland Street. They're all emails and letters in support of the application.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any other questions for Attorney Lynch?
Attorney Lynch, how are you this evening?
Good. How you doing, Andrew?
Just to be clear, you're not, the rear property line the rear part of the garage is going to be right where it was before?
Correct.
All right, and do you have anything from the neighbors on Daggett Street?
No, but that's Vic, and they take care of, my wife has beautiful gardens at our property, and they take care of them. Gardens by Design, Vic and BB Gallo, and David spoke to them, and their presence here speaks for itself. They had no objection. Actually, he spoke to them before we reduced the size even more. This was on your agenda for last month. We actually cut down the garage 2 more feet, and that was after Dave spoke to Vic. So I believe they're pleased.
Okay, great. Is there anyone else speaking in favor of this application? Is there anyone opposed? Are there any more questions for Attorney Lynch? Okay, great. This hearing is closed.
Great, thanks.
'59 Hillside, I move to approve as presented. The petition, oh wait, wrong one. 33 West Orland. I move to approve as presented the petition of Thomas Lynch, attorney for David Kuhane, owner to vary section 3.1.4.1 side yard east from 4 foot required to 1.43 feet, provided rear yard from 5 feet required to 0.4 feet provided. Lot coverage from 65% maximum to 70.8% proposed. Building coverage from 45% maximum to 48.2. Proposed to construct new detached garage, survey by CCG Civil Group LLC, 3/14/24.
Second.
Thank you. I don't have a problem with this. Oh, open for discussion. I don't have a problem with this one. 4 more feet, it's a reasonable size for a 2-car garage. It's maintaining the use of the structure that was already there. It's an incredibly small lot. It's a modest change, and it's down twice from the original ask a few years ago. Eliminating the nonconformity and the height, all good stuff. I don't have a problem with this.
No, I agree with all of that, and especially since they have no storage being a crawl space, so.
Okay,
Same, I'm okay.
great. Okay. All right, let's move on to a vote. Mr. King.
With the motion.
Mr. Wolf.
With the motion?
Mr. Soto.
With the motion.
Mr. Montano.
With the motion.
I'm with the motion. The motion passes.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Montano, item number 3.
12 Wayne Road, corner of Wendy Road, 103/702/1. R 12.5, Warner Rodriguez, owner, varying sections 4.1.1.1 to locate accessory structure in required front yard. Survey by Connecticut Land Surveying LLC, revised January 4th, 2023.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record, and then you can proceed with your
Sure.
presentation.
My first name is Warner, my last name is Rodriguez, and this is my wife, Katie Rodriguez.
Feel free to move the microphone so that we can hear you. Thank you.
Hi, yes, Katie Rodriguez, Katie Hagen's owner of the home.
First, want to say thank you for hearing our case. Thank you. I don't have much in terms of presentation. I think it's pretty straightforward what we're intending to do. Just want to put a shed uphill, basically, and that is unfortunately in a required 25-foot setback. And yeah, just want to put it in that area. So I'm hoping with the materials I submitted, it's pretty plain to see that we have water retention, and I'm just trying to mitigate that the water issues that we have. Yeah, if you guys have any questions for us, feel free.
Did you just say that the shed is going to mitigate water issues?
So yes, we live, our property's at the bottom of a hill, and so everything rolls downhill towards the house. Actually, part of the record, or what I submitted was a variance from 1968. My father-in-law, my wife's father, at the time had similar water issues, and so what he decided to do was to put a garage in front of the house, or on the side of the house rather, and that was to help mitigate the issue, the water coming downhill into the house. Similarly, I'm having issues 40 years later. It would make sense to put the shed in the northeast corner of the lot, but as the plan states there, it's a low-lying area, and I'm just trying to avoid putting a shed in a low-lying area. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Good evening, sir. How are you? How are you, miss? The shed where you're putting it, it's going to be right behind that line of trees, right?
Correct.
Are you keeping the trees there?
Yes, that is our intention. We love trees.
Okay. And because
if we can please stand for the pledge. Thank you, and welcome to our January 17th, 2024 special meeting, budget workshop for the Milford Board of Education. I expect this will be our last workshop of the evening, of the budget season. I do think we'll be ready to vote tonight. Can we do a roll call, Ms. Griffin?
Megan Doyle.
Here.
Scott Furmender.
Present.
Tracy Irby.
Here.
Tom Kova.
Here.
Lauren Maller.
Here.
Una Petrowski.
Here.
Christina Preet.
Here.
Mike Smith.
Here.
Cindy Wolf Boynton.
Here.
And Susan Glennon.
Here.
10 members present.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin. Okay, we'll move on to public comment. We have public comment at the beginning of this meeting so that the board can hear your comments before we go into final questions and clarifications later on the agenda. So speakers may offer objective comments about school operations and programs. The board encourages speakers not to express personal complaints or defamatory comments about the Milford Board of Education personnel or any person associated with the Milford Public School System. Security issues and matters relating to negotiations and grievances will not be permitted, and consistent with the principles of the Federal Education Right to Privacy Act, discussion of students is prohibited absent parental waiver. Public comment is limited to agenda items only tonight, which is the budget. Public comment does not allow for two-way conversation between speakers and the board. We welcome and appreciate your comments and opinions, and all will be taken into consideration. Please note our meetings are televised and live streamed on YouTube. We ask that you state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Ms. Preet is our timekeeper, and she will give you a 15-second warning when we're getting to the end. So anybody that would like to address the board this evening, podium is up here. Don't come all at once.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Kanan. I live at 23 Marie Street, Milford, Connecticut. Good evening. I wanted to say that I'm in favor of the 2024-2025 education budget and that I fully support Dr. Katai's vision for our schools, especially when it comes to the mental health of our students. I appreciate that we continue to support the guidance counselors at the elementary school level and the clinical therapists at high schools and middle schools for students who need additional interventions for anxiety, depression, trauma, and more. With these needs increasing at all school levels, it is important that we don't lose sight of the needs at hand, especially with the ever-growing wait list in the community for additional support therapists. We know this is critical to helping our students learn. A friend who couldn't be here for public comment wanted me to pass along her experience. In the first month of school this year, there was language and behavior at her child's elementary school class that wasn't appropriate. Kids weren't sure how to make sense of it, and they were discussing it with their parents who were then hearing about it. The social worker and guidance counselor working together were able to address the class more broadly on appropriate behavior. It didn't bring additional attention to any of the children involved, and the parents felt supported using aligned language at home. She shared that the class and students have moved past this in a healthy way, and the family is grateful to have these critical resources for our children. So I just want to say that as parents, we are eternally grateful for all the work our support staff does, and that they always go and above to offer our kids a safe space. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Megan Del Monte and I reside at 86 Walnut Street. I planned on coming to this meeting as part of the PTA Council as I'm president of the PTA Orange Ave, but I found myself wanting to talk about my position in Milford Public Schools. I've been in the district for 17 years, having taught kindergarten for 11 and a half years before leaving the classroom to become a reading interventionist, and now as an instructional coach. I spoke in front of many of you last year about my experiences as a reading interventionist. This year, I thought I would talk to you about my role as a coach. My voice might sound familiar to you. In the December 13th literacy highlight, you actually heard me. You may remember when Mrs. Morrow showed the video of a kindergarten reading a decodable. The coach in the video was me. I had worked with both the teacher and the student in that kindergarten class. This was the teacher's first year in the grade. I worked closely with the teacher at the beginning of the year to launch curriculum, small group, and literacy work choices, all the while engaging with the students and working with them as I support their teacher. See, that's the best part of my job. I still work with kids. Each time I go into the classroom, I engaged with them. whether I'm teaching a lesson or working side by side with teachers while students are involved in a thinking experience or small groups. I build teacher capacity around literacy skills. I literally work side by side with teachers, analyze data, think about what students need, and do side by side teaching. Teachers are understanding the importance of foundational skills and the why behind what we are teaching. They are gaining knowledge of high leverage routines and are making shifts in their classroom that are bettering all their students. I work as a thought partner for teachers when thinking about how to best support their students, and will often go in and model for them on how to do a routine. A huge part of my role this year as an instructional coach is to co-create thinking experiences for kids. In the past, we've used the I do, we do, you do approach where the teacher was the holder of all the knowledge. Now, through learning experiences, the students are engaged in their own learning and often come to their own discovery. They have multiple ways of making their thinking visible. The teacher and I go around together and we discuss what we see the kids doing. We may provide a scaffold, or if needed, or extend their learning by asking a deeper level question. The teacher and I use student thinking and formative assessments to think about what our next instructional move is. I'm proud of the work that myself and the other instructional coaches are doing in Milford Public Schools. We see our kids becoming independent learners who aren't relying on their teachers to have all the answers. We are seeing our youngest students reading, truly reading. The discussions that our upper grade students are having about books they are reading or stories they are writing about all happens because of the high quality instruction that our teachers are providing them. And those teachers are learning those skills all without stepping out of the classroom. Thank you.
Sarah Kaminsky, 141 Cinnamon Road. I'm a product of the school system. I have children here, and I've been a teacher here for 21 years, 9 in the classroom and 12 as a coach. I have had to defend my role as a coach to members of our community every single year. To say that I feel undervalued is an understatement. When I first began as a teacher here in Milford, teachers and classrooms were like islands, each having their own vision of learning and what good teaching looked like. There were 0 job-embedded learning experiences. Teachers were without a thought partner, someone there to model, co-teach, and reflect with. There were little to no opportunities for collaboration. You could step into any of our 8 elementary schools and see a vast difference from classroom to classroom. All wheels spinning, but in isolation. Teaching is both an art and a science, one that requires continuous learning, application, reflection, and adjustment. Our district is committed to a model of high-quality instruction requiring all learners, including teachers and students, to participate in cognitively engaging experiences that aim to challenge thinking and move learning forward. This model relies heavily on process of planning, doing, monitoring, and adjusting with continuous feedback throughout, all of which require a coach. MPS considers all adults to be learners. Do we expect a classroom teacher with about 20 students to be able to raise the bar in both content and practice and lift HQI without the support of a coach? Teachers push students to maximize their potential, and coaches are there to do the same for students and teachers. What do coaches do on a daily basis for students and teachers? Coaches analyze student data and plan next steps for instruction. Coaches reflect on instructional moves that yield the best outcomes. Coaches plan and facilitate both job-embedded and professional learning experiences across the district. Coaches act as liaisons between administration and teachers. Coaches model and co-teach whole group as well as small group and individualized learning experiences. Coaches evaluate, create, modify, and support implementation of curriculum that aligns with our model of high-quality instruction. Coaches collaborate with and provide feedback to teachers to promote reflection. Ultimately, coaches are the cogs that keep all wheels moving, but in the same direction towards student growth. Athletes rely on many coaches to help them refine their skills in order to perform at their very best. The average professional sports team has 30 players and carries about 5 coaches. That's a 1-to-6 ratio. In our district, we have 129 K through 5 teachers that impact 2,241 students every year, and we have 32 instructional coaches to support both teachers and students. It's a 1-to-74 ratio. Mathematically speaking, each coach impacts 74 learners consisting of teachers and students. How can we even be considering increasing this ratio? One teacher impacts hundreds of children in their career. Each of those children is shaped by their experiences in every classroom. The fact that we're still wondering 15 years after implementing a coaching model if the investment to improve teaching and learning is worth it is very concerning.
My name is
Island Sound, perpendicular from the house structure going out to the seawall towards Long Island Sound. There was, the application says for fence or wall because that was how it was originally, the application was originally filed. I came into this after the application had been filed. So since the notice and the application had said that, that's how it's being presented tonight, but it's actually for a wall. And I provided a copy of the wall detail, and it's going, if it was approved, it would match the existing foundation if you had an opportunity to drive by the property, but I have photographs as well I could submit to the board, pass those out so you can see roughly what it would look like. So this lot's a legal pre-existing non-conforming lot. It's created by deed at least as early as 1885, which was 44 years before the Milford zoning and subdivision regulations were enacted. Originally, when they were first enacted, it was in the A residence zone, which required a minimum lot width of 50 feet and a minimum lot size of 6,250 square feet. It remained in an A residence zone until 1962 when the zone was changed to R10, and then eventually R10 became R12 sometime in the early 1970s. The usable area of the lot is approximately 8,300 square feet. So it's listed at 15,000 square feet, but that includes the area below the seawall, which is not buildable. So it's an R12-5 zone, but the lot only has usable area of about 8,300, 8,400 square feet. The house is new construction, and I was here in October of 2022 for a variance request. If you might recall, it was to attach the existing garage, which is located in the front yard, to the house. And the reason we needed a variance for that request because the accessory structure then became part of the principal structure, and then therefore it didn't meet the front yard setback any longer. So that garage has since been rehabilitated and is attached to the house. But at the time, the board conditioned that approval on limiting that garage to 1 story, which it has remained at 1 story. So there's a right-of-way, it's a city right-of-way actually, running on the easterly side of the property. It runs right down the street. The street turns, the paved area of the street turns, but the right-of-way runs right past the property, so it technically has 2 front yards. At some point in time within the past year or so, there was confusion about where that property line was because the previous property owner had planted shrubs which grew into I'm not sure how tall they were. I'm trying to remember because I live right up the street and we walk that area all the time. But the shrubs were there for a while. The current property owner, as part of their construction, once they realized that those shrubs were no longer was no longer part of their property, and it became apparent to them during their construction, they actually went to the board of Woodmont Borough. Ed Benessi is here tonight. He's the borough president. They went to that board and they were asking for some borough approval to plant on the borough property, which was denied at that time. But they were upfront and honest about it, seeking what they were trying to get. So the point of that aspect of it is that that's a public right-of-way there. There's really no privacy, and it's somewhat similar issues with people being able to wander from the grass area across onto the seawall. The seawall is a drop of like at least for, I think, 3 to 5 feet. So this is for privacy, it's for liability reasons. It's a 2 to 3 foot wall. The reason I'm saying 2 to 3 feet because it's going to depend on the grade of the property, but it's actually on both sides of the property coming out from the house. So if you see those red areas that David's circling there, thanks David, that's where the proposed stone wall would be, running out to the seawall. So in this particular case, the hardship, the legal hardship is the proximity to the right-of-way and proximity to Long Island Sound and the topography and the fact that the lot has no other way of being developed where they could have a private yard, whether you consider that the side yard or the rear yard. I think the city considers that the rear yard, but the way the house is being built or is built now under construction, it's really, you look at the house, the front of the house, kind of, there's an entryway from that public right-of-way there, which so it could be considered a rear yard or a side yard. You know, it's a lot of houses many houses in the R12-5 zone, single-family homes and properties have privacy walls or security walls or fences. This is nothing that's very tall that's being proposed, or it's attractive what's being proposed. It's the minimum size necessary to provide some privacy and boundary along the property line, especially along the city right-of-way. Like I'd already mentioned, the usable space. The lot is, there are other hardships that were brought up at the time of the previous variance request. They're not directly relevant to this variance request. However, they're relevant to how the property gets developed over time. So the property doesn't get developed in a vacuum. There are other things like the previous, the existing width of the lot, the topography, the usable space, how Long Island Sound ebbs and flows with it. Sometimes there's erosion, sometimes there's sand that's added to the property. The shape of the lot is a little bit odd due to the curvature of the street, and it was never formally laid out on any subdivision map. It was just created by deed back in 1885 at least. I don't know if that was earlier than that, but that's as far as I had gone back. So the point of that is that that's how these things get developed, and you have to take that into consideration. Even those are not the hardships that are directly related to this. The hardships that are directly related to this are the size of the lot and the location to Long Island Sound, which is triggering the regulation. And the point being is that not all lots in the R12-5 zone have this same issue. They can put a fence in their side yard, they can put a fence in their backyard, and there's no restrictions. So pending your questions, that's our application.
Attorney Hussein, your
Yes.
application says you're putting a fence up, but you're putting a wall up?
So I came in after this application had been filed, and I talked to Mr. Hanscom this evening, and prior to that, a little bit about this application, and that's how they filed it, because that's what how the regulation reads. So the intent is not to put a fence or a wall up, but right now the intent is to put a 3-foot wall up.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what part of the wall is going on is it on the property line?
No, if you look at you can see it on both screens. If you can see the red coloration, there it is right there. Yeah, it is, looks like it's yes, it is on the property line, correct, yes.
All right, so how does that work? You got a 20-inch footing. That footing can't be on the other people's property, can it?
No. So I would defer
So
to
it's going to have to be back,
Yeah, I would,
the footing's going to have to be on the property line,
yes,
the edge of the footing.
yes. I would defer to the contractor on that, but I understand your point about with the detail that we provided.
And what's the
Yes.
surface of the right-of-way on the adjoining property?
Grass.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, so Mr. Vanessi's correct. On the easterly side, it's on the property line. On the westerly side, it looks like it's on the property line as well, proposed. Yeah, it doesn't exist right now. Yeah. But you can see from that survey, the prior shrubs that used to exist, those are all gone now.
Those were between 5 and 6 feet high.
Okay, so those were between 5 and 6 feet high, yeah, with a fence, actually, too. So the previous property owner had encroached into that right-of-way. Once that was brought to the borough's attention during this construction process, that was all taken out. So now it's just, if you walk by that area, it's just the grass and then the construction. Yeah.
On the left side of this plan, you have your red line showing where the wall will be, but there's also indication that there's a hedge.
I don't know if that, Mr. Hanscom might be able to address that. Do you want to come up? I don't know if that still exists or not.
Wesley Hanscom, 3 Fairwood Road in Bethany. On the left-hand side, they are existing, the hedges are there. They're actually, off the property line on our side. There are hedges on the inside. Like where the red line is running through, the hedges come all the way down to the seawall now.
And it's existing.
Correct.
So why is that not sufficient for privacy? Why do we need a wall?
Because when you do the drainage on the left-hand side for the gutters, to recirculate the water, you're going to lose all those hedges on the left side.
You're going to lose all the hedges all the way up to Long Island Sound because of gutters on the house?
The drainage system is on the left-hand side. You're going to lose all the hedges in the middle on the side of the house. And they're dying.
On the side of the house?
Yes.
So extending beyond the house, which is the point in question, why can't that be hedge instead of wall?
Yeah, just to match the other side so it looks the same.
Why can't the other side be hedge as well?
I think
If this is only 2 to 3, why can't we put plants there?
the regulation has the same language for shrubs.
The problem is shrubs never stay 2 or 3 feet tall. Shrubs, like the ones that were there, grow.
Sir, if you have something to say, please come up to the microphone.
So the language applies to vegetation and shrubs as well. So if you came here, you would be asking to plant shrubs, you'd be asking for a similar variance. That's what my reading of the regulation is. Yeah, no fences, walls, or shrub rows shall be permitted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that. Okay. Any other questions?
The shrubs on the left side, good evening, Attorney Crusaden.
Hey, how are you?
The shrubs on the left-hand side, are they on 5 Beach Avenue or the next door property?
They're on, mostly on 5 Beach Avenue. They're mostly on our property. Not our property, but the applicant's property.
And approximately how tall are they?
About 5 feet. But are they dying? Mr. Hanscom is reporting that they're not healthy shrubs, that they're dying, so that they might need replacement at some point anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The ones on the side of the house
The
are
ones on
dying. Right, but everything here in question is from the back of the house forward, not on the side of the house.
Okay. I'm sorry, Ms. Ferrante, I didn't hear that.
The hedges on the side of the house are dying, but we're not here about the side of the house. We're here about everything from the back of the house towards the sound, everything in red.
That we're here for what's located in red, but my understanding is that those are dying as well.
Okay.
That those are not healthy as well.
Okay. Any other questions?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Crusade, the picture you handed out, what is this of?
That's the foundation of the house that the wall would extend off of. So the wall would look that was given for what the wall would look like and about the proximate height. So it would match the existing foundation. If you look where it says proposed patio, the house has been permitted and is almost complete. That is where the wall would leave off and continue down.
All right, is there anyone speaking in favor of this application?
Hi, Ed Bonessi, 83 Beach Avenue. The homeowner came to the Board of Warden and Burgesses last fall, I think September or October, with a completely different proposal, and we were pretty dead set against it. And when there was a lot of confusion. But what I see, I came here to make sure it's what I thought it was. Is what we're worried about is that eastern wall, which is the right side. We would prefer it not to be hedges because people don't always cut hedges, and hedges start out at 3 feet and they can end up 8 feet high. We do appreciate the homeowner letting us know. I suspected 20 years ago that the shrubs that were on the eastern side were on borough property. I tried to talk with the city engineer about it and nothing ever happened. So the fact that they were upfront with us, I appreciate. And we took out the fence, excuse me, and the hedges, which were considerably high, and I'm pretty sure they're probably the same vintage. They were not nice or healthy at all. But I'm in favor of a 2 to 3 foot wall, which will not grow once it's built.
Thank you. Anyone else speaking in favor? Is there anyone opposed to this application? Sure, please come forward.
Jerry Fiorentino. We live at 11 Spencer Street, which is just up on the right. And my question is, the seawall, if you've seen it, is it's painted white, it's an old rock wall. And what's going to happen with the seawall when they build this new wall that's coming down perpendicular to the seawall? Is the seawall going to remain the same, or is it going to be lifted up 2 or 3 feet? Just curious. What's going to happen with the seawall? Are you going to replace it? No. Okay. So Ed, can I ask you, how much wider is the right-of-way?
Excuse me, can we please,
I'm sorry.
is there something playing? Is there music playing?
Just to answer the question while I have the opportunity on the record, and speaking with Mr. Hampton, there's no plans for the seawall, and that would be actually a special permit application because we would be within 25 feet of the mean high water mark. So.
Okay, yes, the only thing we're here for tonight would be the walls coming alongside the property line perpendicular to the existing seawall.
Yeah, I'm okay with what they're proposing. I just wondered if they could let us know what's going to happen with the seawall. I mean, I know it's not part of this process.
Yeah. Okay, at this point, nothing. Okay. Correct? Correct, okay.
And one last question, are they going to put any shrubbery on between the new proposed wall and the house? I said, but will there be, I thought I heard somewhere that there would be shrubs between.
Anyone speaking, please speak into the microphone so it can be recorded and everyone can hear. Mr. Kersaden?
Sure, excuse me, sorry. So to answer the gentleman's question, there's no proposed new shrubbery being requested as part of this, but if it was south of the house, because of this regulation, we would have to have the same application.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Anyone opposed to this application? No? Any more questions for the applicant? Mr. Soda?
Attorney Crusading, both sides of the wall will be stone-faced?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, but it doesn't show veneer on that side.
Mr. King?
That was a yes?
David, can I ask a question to David?
Both sides will be veneered, stone veneered?
Yes, that's correct.
David, the wall what's the maximum height they can go up on the wall?
Although they're here tonight to ask for a variance to allow a wall or a fence behind this house, it has to meet building and flood regulations. And as I'm looking at this, this wall, even the portion that's already constructed, is in the high velocity flood zone. It's in the VE zone. I'm not the flood administrator for the city, but my understanding is they probably could not even build this wall as they're talking about because it's an obstruction to flow. But that will be determined, and that should have no bearing on the decision you make tonight. That would be something that would happen after this, because in the end, if they can't build this particular wall, if you grant them a variance to allow a fence, they may be able to put a fence that water can pass through. But that will be determined after this board takes whatever action you decide.
Okay, so
So
we're not
David,
affecting
we could
that.
put a stipulation that a wall or a fence.
A wall or a fence, as the applicant asked for in their application.
David, who determines that?
That will be determined by the floodplain administrator.
Joe.
And the original question there was, is there any limit on the height that they can put that fence?
If the fence were something related to the seawall, there's a limit to height. If you are granting a fence, a variance for its location, typically fences along property lines are limited to 6 feet in height. Whether or not you want, in this particular case, to allow 6 feet or not, that's your call. But typically, if this were not on the shoreline, if this were anywhere else, 6 feet would be allowed.
So we could limit it to 3 feet if we wanted to?
Yes, you can.
Seeing since that the borough, the head of the borough, Woodmont there, seemed to have a problem with height?
Because it is totally at your discretion whether or not you want to vary the regulation, you can put conditions on it. And if you would want to condition it based on or for them to have a particular height, you can do so.
Okay.
So what is requested is, up to 3 feet at this point.
Yeah, no higher than 3
In order
feet.
to limit, if this board were to move with granting this variance in an effort to limit what variances were granted, yes, we could certainly add that condition up to 3 feet.
May I just add, if you aren't aware of the history of the regulation, or I heard some earlier comments about what the history of the regulation was. It goes back, I think, like 24 or 26 years, maybe a little less. But the original history of it, I remember it was Miss Rose, who was a state rep for a while, but prior to that, she was on the Planning and Zoning Board. And there was an issue, not with just flood hazard or things getting, dislodged and becoming, basically weapons, against other properties, was the view. And so limiting it, to 3 feet is in line with what that one of the original intents of this regulation was. Because I remember that there was a lot, mostly down in the Devon area, between Laurel Beach and the old Costa Azura, there was a lot of fences that went right up to the seawall. They were 6 feet high and they were completely obstructing the view, and so nobody could see on either side of it. So I don't believe we're asking for a 3 foot, up to a 3 foot wall or fence. That's what we're okay with at this point, so.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? All right, then this hearing is closed.
Thank you.
Okay, 5 Beach Avenue, I move to approve with the following modifications. Either a 2 to 3 foot wall if allowed, or a 3 foot maximum height fence. The petition of Real Estate Acquisition Portfolio LLC owner, varies section 4.1.7.3 for fence abutting Long Island Sound, surveyed by Flanagan Surveying and Mapping, 3/11/24.
Second.
We have a second. Thank you very much. Discussion? Any thoughts?
It's as presented, 36-inch max. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too, I think.
And we have heard from the borough. They're okay with it? Okay. Mr. King?
With the motion.
Mr. Wolf?
With the motion.
Mr. Soto?
With the motion.
Mr. Montano?
With the motion.
I'm with the motion. Motion passes. Okay, Mr. Montano, item number 6.
Excuse me. 531 Welch's Point Road, MVP, 47/533/24G, R 12.5. Amanda and Brian Clark, owners, bearing sections 3.1.4.1. Front yard setback to 23.5, where 30 feet required for wheelchair ramp and porch. Surveyed by Codispoti and Associates, January 25th, 2024.
Ms. Clark?
Hi, my name is Amanda Clark. My husband and I own the property. We purchased this home last year for my aunt and uncle to live in. They helped raise me, their de facto grandparents to my children, and they wanted to have a house close to me where they could spend the rest of their lives. I've promised to look out for them as they age. It's really hard to find a one-story house in Milford. There's a lot of capes and there's a lot of raised ranches. So when we saw a ranch that needed work, we quickly bought it. This one is only 2 minutes away from my house, and it is a block away from my children's elementary school. They're really worried about access as they age. They have friends who suddenly became bound to a wheelchair and could only reach part of their home. This house currently has 3 steps up to the front door. We would like to build a wheelchair ramp and a porch to replace those 3 steps. It would have a small 8.5 feet wide overhanged porch for cover, protected cover as they come in and out of the house, and then an uncovered portion where they can sit outside and pass out Halloween candy, and to add curb appeal to the home. I've created these graphics so that you can have a better idea of what it would look like. I tried to keep it minimal and add to the curb appeal of the house.
Okay, great, thank you. So, right now there's a little walkway that goes to those 3 steps up.
Yeah.
Would the ramp be between that walkway and the house on that little strip of,
The ramp is closer to the house than the current sidewalk is.
Perfect, thank you.
I tried to keep it far enough away from the house that there'd be an area to waterproof because I didn't want the concrete ramp right up against the wood of the structure.
Sure.
But it is closer. Oh, yeah, you can
Right,
see it
yeah,
there.
so that is the existing walkway and
Yes.
3 steps.
Mhm.
And so you're building it kind of inside there, and it looks like You're gonna do a couple of stairs coming straight off. The last stair would extend past what's currently there.
Yes.
Nothing to exceed this already existing walkway.
Yes, yes. There's a couple of steps off the front of the porch so that when the mailman comes and delivers the mail, he doesn't have to walk back down the wheelchair ramp to get out.
Okay, great. And yes, so it looks like it's only extending a little further than the existing stairs and not past the existing walkway. Which is good. Okay, great. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, is there anyone speaking in favor of this application? Anyone opposed? I have to ask.
They left.
Yes, Mr. King.
Did you think about putting a roof over the ramp?
I didn't. I was worried that the more roof I added, the more I was adding onto the front, in front of the setback. I was hoping by minimalizing it, I had a better chance in front of you guys.
If you go to sell the house, you know, you can remove the ramp easily enough.
I was actually hoping that this house, even after they're gone, would always be an accessible home, and we'd either sell it as that selling point, or we would move into it ourselves when our kids got older. Our intention in doing this porch is also to do an addition in the back that doesn't interfere with setbacks or anything, but we'll have like a no curb shower and wider doors and various other things to add access and make the house better for seniors. So I didn't want to undo that ultimately.
Okay, thank you. So this will be a permanent ramp, not a temporary ramp. And I certainly appreciate, as I'm sure the board does, your minimizing projections and additions to the variance requests. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, well then this hearing is closed.
531 Welsh's Point, I move to approve as presented the petition of Amanda and Brian Clark, owners, various section 3.1.4.1, front yard setback to 23.5 feet where 30 feet required for wheelchair ramp and porch, surveyed by Codispoti and Associates, 5/21/24.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. I don't have a problem with this. We already have a projection off the house with the existing stairs. They're obviously not as wide as what's presented, but what is presented is not going to extend much further than the stairs. The ramp is as close to the house as possible. Nothing's going beyond the current walkway. She's minimizing the roof line. I think this is as respectful an application as there could be. Okay, move to a vote then. Mr. King.
With the motion.
Mr. Wolf.
With the motion.
Mr. Soda.
With the motion.
Mr. Montano.
With the motion.
And I'm with the motion. The motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Do we have any new business? Well, actually, I wanted to say something. Because we have, Andy, you're new to our board, and we've got Jeff, who's been appointed, who will hopefully be joining us next month. Just wanted to remind you that we can arrange a training seminar with the city attorney's office if you would like a little primer on what we need to be considering when voting and how we need to be voting and process and procedure. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, and you're already pretty well up to speed, but if anyone on the board would like a reminder or a primer or has specific questions, we can certainly arrange something with the city attorney's office, so just let me know.
Is that scheduled, or are we, it's an offer?
Nothing is scheduled at the moment, but
Good idea.
if anyone is interested, and if everyone is interested, yeah, we can certainly move something forward. We do have 2 new members, so it's probably not a bad idea. All right, well, I will have an update next month then. Well, we'll get there. Yeah, any old business? Staff update?
None this evening. Oh, wait, there is.
Yeah.
Stephen is scheduled to be back next week. So this will be the last time you see me in the near future.
David, thank you so much
Oh,
for
you're
stepping in.
Oh,
We
you're welcome.
very much enjoyed having you at these meetings. Okay, and do we have any applications for next month?
Just the postponed Gulf Street so far.
Just Gulf Street so far. Okay. Great. Okay, and we need a motion to approve the March minutes? Or no?
Motion to approve?
Yeah, March minutes. Great.
Second.
Great. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And just Gulf Street so far for next month. So that's that then. Meeting adjourned.